What is up, fans of The Batman? We finally have some news surrounding The Batman Part 2, and is it good news? No. But is it going to be okay? Yes, I hope, at least. There's been an announcement of a delay, which we'll talk about, as well as some other speculation regarding what's going to be happening in the plot. So we're going to dive into all that today. As always, before we do, make sure you smash like and subscribe if you're new here. And if you don't, that's totally fine. Just know that I'm going to add you to my list of vengeance. But yeah, today is a bit of a sad day, especially for us fans of The Batman. You know, I've been waiting for any sort of breadcrumbs, anything regarding The Batman Part 2. I was doing a full series on the movie, but then the news just really stopped. There hasn't been much coming out. The only thing that keeps coming out is that Matt Reeves has not finished the script still, and so kind of just been waiting around, and then we got this announcement that The Batman Part 2 has officially been delayed to October 2nd, 2026. And that one just hurts a little bit, I'm gonna be honest. Not to mention that The Batman came out in 2022, so now we're gonna have to technically be waiting 4 to 4.5 years for this sequel. I've seen some people on Twitter argue that like sequels used to come out like 4 years apart, and for some reason I don't remember that time. I feel like when I was younger it was typically about 2 years, but you know, waiting 4 years isn't unheard of. I mean, hell, for James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water we waited like a freaking decade. So there is a silver lining to all this, and there is a glimmer of hope, because as we know, Matt Reeves loves to take his time, and that's one of the things that's so special and that stands out about The Batman. When you watch The Batman, you see how much care and passion went into this story, how tight this story is. Every little bit of dialogue matters, every frame that's on screen matters towards the ultimate goal of this story, and it all comes together. And so when it comes to The Batman Part 2, by no means do I want them to rush this thing. I don't want just like a shady sequel to come out, and then in hindsight you look back at The Batman and it kind of makes it worse, and you're just like, oh man, this whole thing's ruined. I want The Batman Part 2 to be as good, if not better, as The Batman. And The Batman, as a standalone comic book movie, is one of my favorites of all time. And so I'm still nothing but excited, but it does hurt a little bit realizing that we have to wait a whole extra year for The Batman Part 2. I've also looked into this quite a bit, and there are just some unforeseen circumstances that have come up regarding the production of this movie and the writing. You know, nobody could anticipate the strike last year, and it lasted for a very long time. And so that right there puts everything on halt. And then once it resumes, you know, you got October, November, December. I'm sure Matt Reeves had to get back into the groove of things, and it just seems like he's really, really passionate about making this script as good as it can possibly be. But there have certainly been some bumps in the road. There's also a couple things that I would take with a grain of salt, but I do trust Jeff Snyder at the InSnyder on Twitter. He's typically on the Hot Mic podcast. Great listen, by the way. But he did tweet saying, yes, the strikes didn't help The Batman Part 2, but I hear a major part of its year-long delay is a lack of available stages. While WB was figuring out timing, many spaces got booked. And that right there is just something that will happen. If you don't have a finished script, you can't really start putting things into production, therefore you can't book any of these stages, and there are a lot of other projects that are that far along and they book these stages, and so it kind of pushes things out a little bit farther than they may have anticipated. I think the one thing that I want to stay away from myself that I've already seen from people is just kind of like a panic situation of being like, oh my gosh, does this mean The Batman Part 2 just isn't going to happen and it's going to get canceled and everything is going to go in the garbage and all of our hopes and dreams are ruined? No, that's not what's happening. I don't think that's what's happening at all. I just think that, like I said, unforeseen circumstances, the strikes. There was also a huge change and shift at Warner Brothers recently, especially with James Gunn starting the DCU and all of that. And so I wouldn't worry too much about The Batman Part 2 not coming out. And I also, at this point, wouldn't worry about it getting pushed any farther than this. I think they kept the October release date because they wanted to keep an October release date. I think they very well could have put this in the summer, but the tone of The Batman fits that spooky season so freaking well, and I just think it's going to stick there. As of right now, like I said, the script still isn't finished. I think that's what leads a lot of people to panic, but I do have a feeling that it's going to be finished very, very soon. And as soon as it's finished, that's when all of the stuff is going to kind of start rolling out. Little tidbits of information, little details of the script, because honestly, over the past, 2 years now, there have just been so many different stories regarding who the villain's going to be of this movie, who's going to be returning, who's not going to be returning, what actor are they going to get to play this role? Is it going to be Mr. Freeze? All of that stuff. But you can't do any of that. You can't plan for any of that without a script. That's the real starting point, and so we just have to hope and pray that Matt Reeves is getting there on this. I'm sure he is. Let him take his sweet time and let him put everything he has into this story, because if he's already proved anything, it's that he knows how to make a hell of a good Batman film. Also, I really hope that they can combine schedules with Greg Fraser again as the DP, as you might have just seen in Dune Part 2. That guy knows how to freaking just make things look amazing. And he already did it in the Batman, and I truly dream about a world where we get Michael Giacchino, we get Matt Reeves, and Greg Fraser all back for Part 2. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's about it as far as the delay goes. I know you guys are probably feeling some type of way about it. Please let me know down in the comments how you're feeling. Are you disappointed? Are you okay? There are a lot of feelings to be had regarding this situation, and I don't blame you if you're mad or sad or whatever, because at the end of the day, we're all just fans of Batman, and we just want to see Batman, and luckily for us, the Batman was amazing, but now we're just waiting on, hopefully, another amazing sequel. So, yeah, guys, and, you know, I mentioned that there's really not that much information, obviously, coming out regarding the Batman Part 2, but if you know my channel, that doesn't mean that we can't still speculate. I did see a tweet recently that got me thinking about some things. Now, I did comment on this tweet saying, do you have any sources for any of this? And they never responded, so I don't think any of this is valid whatsoever, but it definitely got me thinking. Our user by the name of Comic Oddity said, the Batman Part 2 rumors. The Joker will play a similar role to Hannibal Lecter and will provide information to Batman. Clayface will be a serial killer who uses his victim's skin to change the appearance of his face. There will be more action sequences than the first movie. And I'm not trying to throw any shade here towards this user, but I do find it funny that on Twitter these days, pretty much anybody can just type something up and act like they're a journalist, even though they don't really have any sources. That's why I commented, like, do you have any sources? Like, anything confirming any of this? And as far as these quote-unquote rumors go, two of them stick out to me. One of them definitely does not. The one that doesn't stick out to me is the Clayface will be a serial killer and, like, wear his victims as his mask. That just doesn't sound right to me. That actually sounds more like a Hush storyline. There have been a lot of rumors that Clayface will be one of the main villains in the Batman Part 2, which I would absolutely love. But when you look back at Batman Hush, like, that storyline has a lot going on and features a lot of different villains, and so I think that if they were to be doing some sort of thing where there's a serial killer wearing different appearances and stuff like that, I feel like that's going to be more of a Hush thing rather than a Clayface thing, and I could be wrong on that. You know, Matt Reeves has already proved that he's doing a more grounded version of this versus some of the other fantastical iterations, but I just think that if they did Clayface, they'll probably end up going the Basil Karlo route, but please let me know down below what you think about that. Like I said, I could be totally wrong on that. But one that I do put a little bit of stock into is the Joker portraying sort of a Hannibal Lecter style role in this movie, with Batman going to visit him, very much like the deleted scene from the Batman Part 1. I really don't think that that scene fits in the Batman, as fun as it is and as awesome as that scene is. I love what Barry Keoghan's doing with the role so far, and it's really fun to see that little behind the scenes snippet, or at least just see that extra scene. But if you're writing with the intention of having that scene in this second movie, having a scene like that, having Batman going to seek out some answers or at least get some help from the Joker once again, I think that it could be really well done. You could put some more emphasis on it. You could also add some little teases in there and setups for the Batman Part 3. As a fan, there's really nothing better than seeing Batman and Joker interact, and Robert Pattinson and Barry Keoghan together. It makes sense, and so I don't know if this is more of a rumor or just something that I feel like we can just guarantee is going to happen. I really don't think that the Joker is going to play that big of a role in this second film. I don't think they're going to bring him in as like the big bad for this second film. I think they're really going to work their way up to that and have him come in a very strong way in the third film, out and about outside of Arkham. But as for this Hannibal Lecter type thing, going and talking to him just like he did in that deleted scene, I think that that would work very, very well. Also, the second part of these rumors is there will be more action sequences than the first movie. That's pretty simple. A sequel's job job is to be bigger and bolder than the first movie. And so I think we can guarantee that we're going to get another Batmobile chase. We're going to get some more Batarang action. We're going to get some suit upgrades that are going to be shown off in some crazy fight choreography action sequences with a bunch of goons and Batman fighting them. Like, I think we can expect all of that. And I don't think that's really like news to anybody. It's definitely going to at least attempt to go even bigger than the first one did. And that's something to be excited about. And that's also a reason why I think it's okay to be waiting this long, because with this amount of time, we should be able to anticipate a pretty darn good film. So yeah, guys, that's about it for the roundup today, talking about the Batman. It's been quite a while since I've made one of these videos, and honestly, I've just been missing it. There just hasn't been that much going on. And then I saw this delay. I was a little bit heartbroken, but it also gave me an idea to at least come on here and talk about the Batman a little bit more. And as news continues to come out over the next couple years now, I'm definitely going to be breaking it all down. So make sure you keep up with the channel. Also, head down to the comments and let me know all of your thoughts on this. What do you think about the delay? What do you think about some of these rumors or possible rumors that are coming out? There's a lot to think about. There's a lot to talk about. So don't hesitate to tell me what you're thinking. Also, smash like if you haven't already and subscribe if you're new here. You can follow me on X at Jones Vibes Only, and don't forget to keep up the good vibes, guys. But the Batman Part 2 is delayed till 2026. I guess the joke's on us.